Welcome to Season 3 of The Good Pod. Today's podcast is presented by Dr. Barry Napier.
Let's look at the subject of worship. A very common term, but what does it mean? Some churches hold what they call worship services. This podcast wishes to ask a genuine question. What do they mean by a worship service? As a believer, I really don't understand what exactly such a service is supposed to be, or what function it is supposed to serve. I understand the term worship, but not the term worship service. Probably because all services should be worship services. The term worship service has become prevalent only in recent decades, so in a way it is a fashion statement rather than an historically based term. This is one reason I question it. Of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that these services are invalid, but there are clues. Another problem is a very simple one. The term has no immediate understandable meaning. Now I'll let you think about that. If it had an understandable meaning, then I would not be asking these questions. Again, the fact that I personally do not understand the meaning of worship in this context does not necessarily imply that such an observance, that is of a worship service, is wrong. It just means that I do not understand either the meaning given to it by men today or to its relevance to Christian life. Thus my own ignorance of these matters could be the problem. But frankly, I don't think so. As always, we must go to the scriptures to see if we can find the solution. This should tell us if a worship service is valid, or if it is required, or if it is even relevant. We will find no less than 9 clearly differentiated Bible words for worship. As is usually the case for almost all biblical words, these words themselves can be traced back to root words, that is, other words on which the main words are based. 3 of these main words are found in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, worship usually means to bow in homage before a superior, before God, before angels, or even before false gods. The word can be used either literally or figuratively. Therefore, we may legitimately say that this word can be used to refer to one's inner desire towards a superior, such as God. Another word means to shape or form or copy. Thus, one may shape oneself to be like a superior, much as we as Christians are told to copy Jesus Christ. And this itself is a form of worship. So we're talking there about our way of life as well and our attitudes. In the New Testament, worship can be taken 6 distinct ways, depending on context, which is always to be considered when translating or interpreting. The Persians displayed profound reverence by kneeling and touching the ground with the forehead. In New Testament times, a person would kneel or lay prostrate completely on the floor to show obedience and respect, and or to seek favour. This was done in homage to God, the risen Christ, or to angels, whether they were holy or demonic. To worship also means to revere or to be devout, or to hold an opinion of someone, good or bad. Though in the New Testament the opinion is always a good one, resulting in praise, honour, or the glorification of a person, such as God. The same word can also refer to the splendour of the moon and stars, the dignity, grace and excellence of God, God's majesty as supreme ruler, and of Christ and the angels. It refers also to a glorious state, the risen Christ state before God, and the condition of true believers. Worship can refer to the service of menials, that is, practical worship of a superior, or to performance of sacred services, offering of gifts, to perform the rites required by God, that is, by priests, and those things that glorify him. It can mean to show piety or to act reverently towards God, or any one thing to whom or which such reverence is due. Then there is another word for worship which refers to misguided worship. That is, worship and observances invented by men to suit their own ideas. Thus it is not true observance or true holiness, such is common today in many churches, especially charismatic or pro-charismatic and mainstream Anglican, etc. So, which of these words is being referred to when we talk of a worship service? Can the reader see the reasons for my genuine inquiry and caution? Look at the meanings of the biblical words that we've just talked about. None of them can adequately be taken and applied to the modern use of the term. Indeed, the true meanings of the words render the modern use nonsensical. We see that virtually all the various words refer to one's state of heart towards God or towards any other superior being or object. How that can be applied to an external form, such as a church service, I cannot tell, hence the query. Sometimes these services are also known as praise services, but I don't understand that either. It seems that certain valid aspects of Christian attitude have somehow been taken from their context. In this case, the context is the individual's heart's desire, and reformed into a physical type of meeting. But to what purpose? The purpose is, we suppose, to glorify God. But how is this done? If the way we glorify God is not prescribed in Scripture, or more importantly, it is not even based on scriptural example, then is it valid? This reminds us that one word for worship means to misguidedly invent a self-made, invalid obedience that is, by definition, disobedience and sin. I do not doubt the sincerity of those who initiate or attend worship services, nor do I want to denigrate them in any way if they are my brethren in the Lord. I simply ask, what is it all supposed to mean? If worship merely consists of throwing up arms, having glazed eyes, and shouting Amen, then in my view it isn't worth anything at all.